All right, everybody. After a long, I think it's been maybe a little over 2 weeks since I've had a podcast episode. Whole house got sick. Long story short, a lot of coughing, a lot of trips to the toilet. Sorry if that's TMI. A lot of sleepless nights, and taking care of our kiddo, and just nursing ourselves back to health. I wanted to be able to come on here and give my guests trip to the morgue, show them a good time and a lot of love. I think they've got a really cool throwback kind of thrash grindcore kind of metal sound going that they do very well, and partly to do with the generation they're from and the music they grew up listening to. That
For sure.
really wins a lot of favors to their craft. They do it very well, but we're here now, and we're going to get started. You guys go ahead and introduce yourselves and your roles in the band, and we'll take it from there.
All right. Jay.
Oh,
Jay. Jay, you're
Oh,
up, bud.
J. Patrick Mendoza, I'm the guitarist. Been with the band for about a little over a year now, and I've been playing guitar for probably about 35 years. So
Wow.
started off as a metal player, and knew Dave from gigging with him when we were in separate bands, and to be able to join the guys. So it's been fun. It's been a trip. That's been a crazy year for us. So all good stuff.
Welcome to the crew.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Benny?
Yo, I'm Vincent Rizzo. I've been in and out of Trip to the Morgue for 10 years, but my first 10 year in the band was back in 2014, and then I've been back in since. When did I rejoin, Dave? Was that 2020, I think?
2021.
Yeah, so I've been back for about 4
Just
years
right
now.
right in the middle of the pandemic, yeah.
Yeah, right before everything closed up, we were still playing. Or before everything reopened, I should say.
Right.
But yeah, I'm the band's drummer. I've been playing drums literally since I was like a year old, so it's kind of my life.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
All right. Dave, I play bass and lead vocals, and oh, fuck. I've been playing for a long time, man. Longer than probably most of your listeners been around. Yeah, I'm 56, and I've been playing music probably since I was 14, 15. Yeah, so we're looking at 40 plus years, and fuck, I just enjoy myself, man. I love having music. I love the music that I grew up listening to, man. That's it.
Yeah. Well, hey, I love that you guys are finally here. Love that I'm able to do this. Sorry if the swollen eyes are a little bit distracting. It kind of flared up on me at work the other day randomly. Allergies or something, I don't know. But it looks a lot better. I looked like Rocky a couple of days ago getting punched by Apollo Creed. But yeah, I'm thrilled, guys. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And just to say, it really shows in the music when I'm listening to it how long you guys have been playing because of how tight everything sounds.
Oh, yeah.
I think when I'm listening, I feel like there's a lot of that old school approach to how everything's put together, how you guys lay the tracks down and everything from wherever you start, whether it's an acoustic or lyrics, vocals, but it really shows just how honed the craft you guys are. Obviously, I'm new to you guys. I just started, checking your band out recently enough, and I think when Dave reached out to me from the post I put in metal promotions or something like that.
Yeah, it was a promotion page, yeah.
Yeah, and as I said before, it took a little bit to finally get here, but yeah, for my listeners, if you didn't catch it already, this is Trip to the Morgue. They're from Southern California, and yeah, I think if you've listened to any of their music, the sound they have is probably pretty familiar to you, but I wouldn't say is exactly like that period at the same time because they do plenty in their music that sets them apart too. Just to name a couple of bands that came to mind when I checked out Digging Your Grave was the first song I checked out because I noticed Mitch from Napalm Death was, featuring on it. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna check that out. And initially, I was thinking of like a Crowbar meets like Slayer, and with like a
Oh,
punk.
buddy, you got a good ear.
Yeah, and that's what because I listen to a lot of Crowbar and I love that singer, and Dave kind of reminds me of him, and just like the way you lay down your vocals.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it got me
Thank
hooked,
you.
man.
I love Crowbar, man. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They're another legendary band in the scene too, man. They've been around for a long time.
Yeah, my bro was the old drummer for Crowbar, Tony Costanza. Rest in peace, Tony.
Badass, man.
Yeah, that was. He's been a good friend of mine for 30 years, even back to the Machine Head days. When he was their first drummer and shit. So
I love Machine Head. They're not quite the same
Tony
anymore.
passed a couple years ago, and hell yeah. Love some Crowbar and Slayer, man. That's one of my favorite.
Oh yeah.
And you can hear my flavor in the music for sure.
Definitely,
you got a good ear, bro.
Well, I try, man. I've been told that my whole life, actually, by people like, "Why don't you play music?" I'm not confident enough. Well, get confident. It's not like just flipping a switch on, But
a lot of trial and error in between.
Exactly. But I want to get into kind of origins for Trip to the Morgue. You could go as far back as you want, or you could go back to the point that you prefer, and just make it brief if you want, or you could be long-winded. It's your choice. And I just want to hear where it started.
I'll start with where it started, man. In a garage up here in Victorville, fucking California.
Yeah.
When I moved back here to California from New York, I was really wanting to start a band. So Trip to the Morgue was it, and I went and stole a couple of musicians. One, my drummer, I've known since I knew him since our childhood and shit. So kind of recruited those guys, and we started Trip to the Morgue 2010 in Victorville, California. And 4 years later, Vinny, go ahead, do your part.
So I was in another band in the high desert. I've been in and out of bands like my whole life. I'm 30, by the way, so a little bit younger.
I'm older than you.
Yeah,
You're a baby boy.
Yeah.
But I've been in and out of bands, and was kind of in the kind of like in between breaking up with a band and trying to look for another one. And I actually answered a Craigslist ad, and it was fucking Dave for Trip to the Morgue. And went over. I think we had he gave me the songs, and like a week later, I had my first audition with them. And then the rest is history. And then, well, I mean, yes and no. So I moved from the high desert probably in like 2015, and I exited the band at the time because I was just going through a lot.
Right.
And then I guess that'd be 6 years later, like right in the middle of the pandemic, I hadn't picked up my drumsticks in probably like a year and a half. And just out of nowhere, Dave hits me up and he's like, "Hey, we're playing a fucking big ass show in Vegas," which I thought everything was locked down at the time. So I guess not. We're playing a big ass show in Vegas in like a week. You want to fucking jump on drums? So I relearned the set in like a week or two, and I've been here ever since.
Oh yeah, man, you got some chops.
And then in 2023, NAM comes along, and then Jay.
Yeah.
So this is sort of crazy, right? So I started playing mostly classical guitar first, and then I'm a child of the 80s, right? So I'm 53 years old, right? So I grew up at the right time, right? Yeah. When all metal was just coming, and then for the introduction of like thrash. And I'm out here in the LA scene, so we got to see like everything coming up, right? Yeah. So anyways, just playing guitar, and then went to college for it, and then just by happenstance, I ended up joining an old metal band called August Red Moon, and they were kind of big out here, and then they kind of morphed into Eden. So I was part of those bands as well, and I just kind of fell into it, and that's a crazy story all on its own. But Then I joined another band from the singer from Eden called Augmented Chaos, and that's where we used to gig with Dave and the guys, as separate bands. And so we knew of each other. We'd see each other at gigs and kind of say, act like brothers, right? So then was 2023. No, actually, it was 2024. It was last year, Dave. Last
Yeah, it was
year,
24.
we
Yeah.
through a mutual friend, I have my own signature guitars, and I was doing demos at the Viper booth. And a mutual friend of ours, I was standing around talking, and Dave comes up and starts talking to us. And at the moment, Dave says, "Hey, we're in need of somebody to, finish doing our CD with us, and we have a really important show coming up." What was it, like a couple of weeks later?
I think it was
We're
the
looking for
backup
some.
for Bakken. Yeah. We had just
Yeah,
fired our guitar player, like what? Not even a month before fucking going to NAM. So we were
Yeah.
like, "Fuck, I don't know what the hell we're gonna do." We're like literally in the middle of writing a fucking album, like recording it.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Yeah, and Dave, Dave was like, "Hey, we're in desperate need," and he didn't say. He was just said, "We're looking for a guitar player." And I said, "Hey, dude, I'll help you out. What do you need? Like, just send me the music, and I'll help you out, right?" And I think originally, Dave, was it just to play the gig, or was it to finish the CD? I don't remember.
Yeah,
I think it was.
it was just to play the gig, and I wanted you to lay some lead tracks on the record.
Yeah,
That's what it
yeah.
was.
Yeah, then
yeah,
Dave sends me the music. We had our first rehearsal. I think it was a week later, and I learned. I think it was 6 of the songs, and then it was just the next day. And the funny thing, yeah, Will, you mentioned. I think it was on Toe Tagged and Body Bag. Our first rehearsal. Dave was saying, "Hey, look, I'm kind of looking for like this acoustical thing right before it, and it hadn't been laid yet." And I said, "Hold on, I think I have something." And then I wrote it the night before we went in and actually recorded it, and we laid it down on the track. So things progressed super fast because we all kind of clicked right
Yeah, it was
away.
fast.
it was
magic, dude.
extremely natural. Yeah.
That's the best thing.
Yep. I mean, we were shorter guitarists to finish four songs on the record, and literally we made more progress with Jay in 3 months finishing the record than we did the whole time for 2 years with our old guitar player.
Good Lord,
Dude,
man.
no. We've made more progress with Jay in 1 year than we had the previous fucking 10. So,
Yeah, right.
Well, if that doesn't say something about his prowess and his
Yeah.
ability to write music, and then what would?
Well, Jay's
Yeah.
got a lot of passion for his music and everything to do with music, so it helps me out a lot. I mean, I've been really the sole creator for the past 15 years of this band. I've been doing everything DIY myself.
Right.
We just became a 4-piece in 2021. We added Vinny's brother-in-law on rhythm guitars,
Yeah.
on rhythm guitar, Joey, and
He just had
fucking
a baby, which is why he's not here right now. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's a new daddy and just got married too. So we're giving him a little space right now.
Well, if he watches this later on, congratulations on fatherhood, man.
Yeah, for sure. It's his first kid, and hey, you need a little time to
you do
kind of soak everything in. So yeah, we're giving Joey a little time. He came to practice last night. I think I've seen him more inspired than I have in the last year.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, becoming a father, man, in a lot of different ways in your life changes a man.
Absolutely.
Well, not to go off on a different subject here briefly, but when my kid was born, it was like a switch or something just flipped on in my mind, and a mode just activated, right? And I went from being like this, I still got a lot of childlike kind of tendencies and stuff. I'm 38. I'm not old, but I'm not young, right? But I felt a change, and that comes out in a lot of different ways, either creatively or just your drive changes, and your focuses shift, priorities. So I could completely understand how he was at practice. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Not that I would know anything about that shit, but
hey, you will one day, man. But so I want to ask you about the name though. Like the name is the music and the name really fit together.
They do, don't they?
Yeah.
Very well.
They,
Yeah.
they
So
totally do.
I want to ask you, how was that name decided?
Here it is, boys. Here it is. Okay. This is like my favorite question to answer because I think you can appreciate this. Some of the younger folk don't understand it, but you remember that classic movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High, don't you?
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay, well, you remember where the class went? Where they take a field trip to?
That part is vague. I haven't seen that movie in probably 10 years.
Well, the class took a field trip to the morgue.
Oh,
He died.
okay.
There's where the name comes from, right there. So the original meaning for the band name was taking a field trip to the morgue, going and checking out the morgue, checking out the cadavers,
Well, what he was
poking
trying to
around,
say
doing
is
a
that
little investigative.
the class goes on a trip to the morgue, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
eventually, when he gets back, he'll tell it better than I can. But from
So,
my
yeah.
understanding, what it evolved into from the movie is that there's one trip that everybody's guaranteed in their lifetime, and that's a trip to the morgue.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
That's it.
the darker,
Yeah, I mean,
not as funny meaning.
the name kind of morphed into
Fucking
different
Dave.
meanings. Like, the ultimate last ride is your trip to the morgue. It's or you can just take a fucking field trip to the morgue and just go check it out.
But yeah,
We all have that morbid curiosity, right? Morbid curiosity will kill you, but at the same time, it's kind of a fun thought to think about. I think we've all thought about it. I know I have.
Well,
Yeah.
Is there any better music to hear if you do take a trip to the morgue than Trip to the Morgue?
I don't think anything else would fit because it's in the name.
If I took a trip to the morgue, I would want to hear Trip to the Morgue at the morgue while visiting the morgue, listening to Trip to the Morgue.
Tags.
Yeah.
wait a minute. Was he here the whole time? When my screen, it just showed it loading.
Oh yeah, he's been here the whole time.
Yeah.
Seriously, dude, it just showed you loading the whole fucking time.
Me?
No, fucking Dave. It just showed him loading. I didn't hear any of that.
I am loading.
Randomly started fucking talking.
I am loading.
Look at him loading up now.
I am loading, buddy.
Well, my bad. I didn't mean to interrupt.
But that's that. I love that, man. I didn't expect that kind of, I guess, explanation for the name. I didn't think it would be that movie either, because the name, when I heard, I thought you were going to say that maybe you had an experience, or somebody did, or maybe you had seen a movie, or movie, or a book, or something like that, or like a slasher film or something, because
I grew up in California. All I need is a cool buzz and a tasty wave.
Yeah, exactly. But where I was going with that, though, is, with like metal music, especially back in the 80s, I think it was a lot more than it is now, but you still see it and hear it from people. A name like that would get a lot of skepticism and judgment, right?
For sure.
Like, for example, they wouldn't expect like Dave, Pat, or Jay and Vinny, you guys, to be chill and cracking jokes and laughing. They think you'd be dark and angry and like,
I am. I'm dark and angry too, dude. Believe me. Ask my wife, man. I'm dark and angry, dude. I'm the biggest fucking dick there is. But I own my dickism.
Yeah. Well, as long as you own it, I mean, that's
I
what
do. I own it, man. I own it. And hey, my wife loves me for it.
You know what? Go ahead.
I have to admit, Dave at first was a really hard. Like I couldn't place him because he would talk, but he was like a hard nut to crack, man. I couldn't figure him out, but then as time went on, I think it was, God, Dave, I can't remember what we were talking about. One time I heard him laugh. I'm like, oh my God, he laughs. Like he's a cool guy, and it was just funny because he can be very direct, but at the same time, he's almost like the Doc Holliday of the band. You know, you got to get used to like, you know, who he is and say, that's just Dave. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, I got to put
remember
on my pretty face for the interview. So, you know.
Yeah. But listen, though, like that's the kind of people that I appreciate, though, because I don't like the beating around the bush. I don't like watering something down that you're thinking, because what do you think's going to do the person a better favor? Being gentle with it or being to the point with it?
Well, good thing Joey isn't here, man. He's like the biggest skeptic of everybody. That guy's glass is half fucking empty all day long, every day. Literally, like
Dude,
he's the guy that stops
is
us
the
in our
fucking
tracks and
mortgage
goes, "Wait a
industry
minute,
that caused that
motherfuckers.
shit, man.
Let's think about this shit.
Yeah.
You know, are we gonna do? Or you know, is this gonna be? You know, he's the guy. So with me and him both on here, this interview would take 6 hours. So good thing he's not here today, Joey. Thanks for not being here.
I might eventually be asleep at the laptop at some point in that 6 hours, but tired.
Yeah.
But no, that's awesome, man. So the name, I love that explanation. And then we've kind of delved into like the sound, but where else could we go as far as explaining the sound of the band? Like, how much deeper could you guys go with that and explaining it? Like, because maybe an influence that someone wouldn't expect because of how the music sounds, you know, something like that.
Well, I think right off the bat, the big thing is that we all come from very different backgrounds. Trip to the Morgue started as mainly a punk band. Like it really was, especially with the original drummer. He was very much so punk. Like he didn't play a lot of double bass and stuff like that. What changed the sound to what it is now was I joined, and I'm a deathcore drummer. My other bands are like deathcore, death metal, blast beats, you know, stuff like that. And then Dave comes from, well, I mean, I'll let you talk for yourself, Dave, but yeah, it's a very diverse group of people. Everybody has different influences and different styles. And so the crossover was just kind of a natural thing. That's why it has that like punk rock influence with some thrash, with some modern day type of shit, you know, all mixed in. But
yeah, it explains why you put crossover on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Jay comes from a very diverse background. I mean, this guy's a fucking shredder. He plays Eruption and Van Halen shit and fucking Yngwie type shit. And you know, I come from that punk background first, early 80s. I was a punk rocker, man. I was proud to be a punk rocker, dude. But then shit hit the fan with fucking Metallica, Slayer, Exodus, the European death, or the early European death metal, Celtic Frost, fucking Witchfinder General, Venom, shit like that. Hellhammer. I take my writing, how I write a song is I think, okay, let me get all my favorite fucking bands in the same room together, and we're gonna write a song.
Right.
And I would say, and I say to myself, how is this song going to come out with everybody's diverse style? And I just take it like I'll write a piece of song how Tom G. Warrior from Celtic Frost would write a song, or how fucking Jeff Hanneman would write a song from Slayer, or Gary Holt, his little bit in the song. And that's kind of how I you can almost say I steal their ideas, but put it into my perspective. Huh?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
yeah.
We're all thieves in the music industry anyway.
Yeah,
there isn't a single drum beat I play that hasn't been played before.
Exactly.
That's exactly right. But it's all in how you put it together.
Right.
It's your perspective, like Dave said. It really is.
Yeah. That's I was gonna. Dave mentioned something about how when Metallica came along and like punk kind of seemed to, you know, and then you can say the same thing with grunge music when that started to hit big, right? That took like your glam rock bands, your hair metal bands, and even metal to a point. And for a period of time, all people wanted to listen to was your Pearl Jams, your Nirvana.
Dude, tell me about it. In the 90s, empty clubs for fucking heavy shit, like the shit I played. Listen, I opened up for Napalm Death back in like 1996 at the Whiskey in Hollywood. the Whiskey fucking a Go-Go in Hollywood, and there was like 100 people there. Obituary, Napalm Death, my band. It was crazy. I'm like, where is everybody? And Mitch, being a good friend of mine, he explained to me, man, the last few years have been rough with this fucking with this grunge shit, man. Nobody wants to come out and see heavy shit anymore. Nobody, it's kind of been swept under the rug for the time being, but we see how it is now. All that grunge shit is long gone. I mean, we can still love those nostalgic songs, but to tell you the truth, you go to a Napalm Death show now without buying a ticket 2 months in advance, you ain't getting in.
Exactly. And not to get on ticket prices these days, but like, who are these idiots that are paying $4,000 to see your Taylor Swifts and your Beyonces? Like,
$4,000. That's like a nosebleed section.
Yeah,
4,000.
I think you nailed it on the head. They're fucking idiots. Like,
yeah. Like, I mean, music has its place, right? Even if you hate the music that's playing, right? That's, to me, that's throwaway music. It's music that's just meant to fill, the radio charts, or the things like that, and fill the seats in the music awards.
Well, it's all written almost like to an algorithm now.
Exactly.
There's nothing original about it. It's almost like it's AI. It's not, but you know what I mean. There's a formula for it.
Yeah, that's why I like taking bands on like Trip to the Morgue, because you guys don't give a crap about that. So it's because you don't need to give a crap about it. That's not what the music's about in the first place, man. If music was about striking it out and getting big or whatever, and that's it, there wouldn't be any authenticity with it.
Yeah.
Right.
So
every band,
go ahead.
Every band starts their band never expecting to go anywhere but the local club. Okay. When you have a good formula like we do, we know that we can go out way above and beyond local clubs. So that's where we're at right now. We're trying to establish on our own a bigger following, global following. That's why we signed with Wormhole Death out of Italy. Their worldwide distribution with Sony and Warner Brothers and this, that, and the other thing. I won't bore you guys with that stuff, but nowadays being a band, it's about hustling your fucking ass off if you want anything to happen. Really, I mean, you got to do everything yourself. Literally, Jay, he did all of our digital shit for our record. I did most of the graphic art, but Jay, I mean, we're doing everything ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
Now, even fucking tours nowadays are done completely, in-house. Like, I'll be in Europe all of next month with a couple of other bands, but that whole fucking show, like, every show was booked and planned and routed and strategized by us. Like, there's nobody doing it for us. We're all doing it ourselves, Like,
right.
It's a shitload of work. And
It
if
is.
you're on the road, you're doing your own driving, you're finding your own way to eat. Like, half the time you don't stay in a hotel, you're sleeping in a van with fucking 9 other stank ass dudes, Like,
hey, these two motherfuckers,
bitch,
they have snoring wars, dude. Jay and Vinny, dude, you get them in the same room together, dude. It's like a earthquake, and it's like a battle going from bed to bed.
I blame the booze.
That's me when I sleep. That's me. Oh, I get it. But no, the game is a lot different these days. That's 100% true. Touring is super expensive these days.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for the little bands, man. Like, people don't realize, just because you get a record label or a record deal doesn't mean you got your bank account's overflowing, man.
Fuck no, it don't.
It works.
Yeah.
Like, I was watching this thing with Jelly Roll, where he was explaining that a good record deal these days, and it might not sound like a good record deal, would be where it was either 30% going to him, and I think it was 70% is going to the label, or it was something like that. He was breaking it down. He's like, I could get in trouble for saying how this works. And he's like, you've got bands out there that people think are just super big that are getting 5%, when the label's
Oh, yeah.
taking 95% of that. And
I know people like that, man. Yeah.
yeah, and it's just it's sucking them dry, and like that's why I'm a big like I speak out about this, and people hate it sometimes. Where I say these big record labels do not care about these bands that they're signing and these artists and stuff. All they want is their return. All they want is
Yeah.
the money that you make
Right.
them, and that's
Hey,
it. The second
Trip
you
to the
stop,
Morgue ain't Trip to the Morgue isn't going bankrupt for
yeah,
any fucking tour. I'll tell you that right
No.
now.
yeah,
If we
And
break even,
shout
I'm
out.
fucking happy.
yeah,
If we're not coming out of pocket, doing a DIY tour, then we have smiles on our face. Because guess what? We sold a bunch of merch on by the time we're done with the tour. So we're
Yeah.
gonna come in a little bit ahead.
Well,
well,
and
hey,
shout out to our
yeah,
label too. Wormhole Death is amazing. I can happily say we do not have a deal like that with them. Those people are
that's good.
amazing.
That's good.
No, not at all.
No,
I mean,
it
Wormhole
feels
Death
more like a
took
partnership, you know.
Yeah.
absolutely.
For
So
sure.
we're 50-50 on all our digital shit, and we
Well, I
get
think I go that
100% of
far, but
everything else.
That's a great deal, man. That's
That's
how
it,
a
man.
lot of it should look. You know,
And all you bands out there that have a finished record that wants some distribution, drop a fucking email to Wormhole Death, man. They're always looking for good bands. Drop them a line. Tell them Trip the Morgue sent you. They want to hear your record and make help you out. Um, they're really not making nothing except for off of your digital shit. So why not? It's a worldwide distribution game.
yeah,
yeah.
Get your
Yeah.
music all over. So if you guys are looking for that, hit up Wormhole Death Records, man. Carla is going to be your first contact. There it is.
Yeah.
There we
And
go.
well, what's crazy is Wormhole Death has been nothing but supportive of us, especially during the whole process of the signing and the making of the CD and whatnot. They have great support people, but for up and coming bands who are really at that stage of looking and shopping around, us who have the experience, we remember hearing the horror stories, and a lot of people that have the horror stories with what they signed, and maybe they didn't have the right thing. And I always remember
Right.
growing up hearing this, like Van Halen, they went on their first major tour for $1 million, and they come back owning the record company $2 million, and they're like,
I
hey,
know.
wait a minute, what the hell happened, right? So it's just crazy how things, you have to watch yourself, and you have to make the right deal. Luckily, we have somebody like Joey in the band who puts the brakes on for us and says, hey, wait a minute, guys,
Yeah.
let's talk about this,
Yeah.
and you really have to become, smart enough to be able to say, okay, what am I getting myself into? And then, we all know a lot of musicians, and, we're able to get, feedback from people to say, hey, watch for this, do this, and make sure you're doing good. So we're in good hands, really good hands.
That's good to hear. Like I think that's a rarity in the industry these days, where I mean, you might find a big record label that's pretty halfway decent to their roster, but
it is
most of them,
rare though. It is rare.
yeah, most of them I feel like aren't, and so it's like these independent labels or these self-made labels is where you want to place your name,
Yeah.
because these are people that are probably musicians themselves, that know what it's like making music and being in a band and all that stuff. And so it's not like this one-sided thing where it's some guy in a $15,000 suit sitting across this way too big of a table in a conference room trying to tell you that he knows the record industry. He just knows the business side of it.
The business, exactly. Yep.
So,
Yeah.
but I want to go and segue into talking about Toe Tagged and Body Bag record. That's where it started with me. Digging Your Grave was the first song I heard. So I want to dig a little bit deeper into the experience of that record coming along.
Dig a little deeper.
Yeah.
Dig deeper. I
I
always
think we
like
did that.
digging a little bit deeper. It gives you a little insurance,
Yeah.
If you dig a little deeper, man, maybe the possibility of not finding that is increased greatly. A shallow grave is never good. Never. I mean, ask Jay. I mean, he likes to keep them warm as long as possible, but he's the
What happens on
king
the
of
road
shallow
stays on the
graves.
no.
He leaves a finger sticking out or a toe or something like that, a garment, like a ripped, bloody garment he's not a good cleanup guy. Now, Vinny, on
You
the
gotta
other
you gotta
hand,
keep your trophies, you know.
Vinny likes to dig deep. He likes to go at least 5-6 feet, and he makes the holes extra big, so you can in case there's an extra body or some luggage or something like that you need to throw in the hole. So I just want to
I'm
get
just
that out of the way
OCD.
real quick. Now, what was your
No,
question?
that's all good.
It was about
Going
toe
over
tag and body bag, right?
yeah, the album, like how it came to life, basically. Like talking about
It
your
was a
guest
long,
features.
long
Fuck,
time in the
man.
making.
Well,
Yeah.
let me tell you, man. This record was 9 years in the making, dude. 9 years, too fucking long, because there were too many uncommitted musicians that convinced me that they were going to stick around for the long haul, if you know what I mean.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
some of those musicians in the mix, they ended up to be total losers and drunks and fucking drug addicts and shit. And I can't have
Crackheads,
that shit.
literally.
I can't have that shit, So,
Mhm.
because this is about the
I
music,
think
it's
I'm
not
I'm
about the
drunk
fucking
like what
booze and about
2
the
and
fucking
6 or some shit
pussy
like
and
that.
all that shit. So literally,
Yeah.
this project is 9 years in the making. There was originally 13 songs on the record, but I cut it down to 8 because I wanted to take the 8 strongest songs with the 4 best guys I ever had in the band and make a record with these guys. So that's the evolution of Toe Tag and Body Bag. And basically, there's really no concept behind the album except for a lot of the songs are about death. Uh, you know,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. No, I
that's
picked
it.
up on that.
It doesn't go too deep, as far as I can sit here and philosophize about the record with you. All the songs are pretty evident on what they're about. Uh,
Mhm.
we dive right into it. It's thrashy, it's punky, it's hardcore-ish, it's got some grind elements, and I'm really happy how it turned out. Kyle did a great job. He took fucking forever, but yeah, our engineer did a great job, and um, it took 2 years to record, but the finished product we're really happy with, especially on CD, especially on
Yeah.
the CD.
Yeah,
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
yeah. I would
Yeah,
say the
What?
CD version is definitely the way to go as far as the quality of the music goes. But
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a physical media kind of guy still. I love
Yeah.
the physical media.
yep.
Like,
It
not to get
sounds
away from
crispier
the
too.
topic. Yeah, it does, and also uh, the newer generations don't necessarily experience what that's like to take that cellophane or whatever off of that CD, off of
They
that
could give
vinyl
two
record,
fucks.
and opening that up and going through the booklet, reading the
Uh,
liner notes, the lyrics, and everything
I
like
don't
that.
give two fucks about
it
that.
it felt like a
Yeah,
ritual when you used to go to like a record store and
yeah.
buy a new CD. Like that was the best day. Like it didn't matter how shitty your life was at the time. You were gonna buy a new record. You were gonna listen to the whole thing, whether the tracks were shitty or not. You were gonna listen to all of it.
hmm Front to
Yeah.
back.
Yeah,
Top to
when I
bottom.
used to go, steal see, I mean, buy CDs at the store, fucking, there's nothing like opening that CD and fucking looking at what you just stole. I mean, bought. Um, so yeah,
Uh, what are some favorite songs off of the recent record for you guys individually, and what you're most proud of? Like, I know you're proud of the whole record, but do you have any like shining gems that you really like to talk about with people, and say, hey, check
Uh,
this
if,
out.
if I had to go first, I would say it would probably be number one, Tribal Lust, because
Mhm.
when I was standing there watching the whole recording, I was like, man, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to work. Like I had serious doubts, but I'm like, no, I'm giving 100%. And then as we're recording it, actually, when we went to do the video for Digging Your Grave, I just before I left, I had sent tracks like the leads over to Kyle, and then for some reason something happened to him. I don't know what happened, but I had to come back from that gig and redo the leads on it. And I was still like, man, I don't know about this. And now it's like one of my favorite songs that #1 play. But I
That's his
listened to
favorite because
it.
that's his favorite because there's 3 leads on it. He gets to fucking
Yeah,
shred
I'm
3
not gonna
times.
lie. Yeah, but it came together great too. It's just a fun song too. And
It's
the
fun,
video's
yeah.
kind of dark. Yeah, it's a lyric video, but it's kind of dark and kind of gruesome. But you know, we all kind of grew up in the '80s with the first slasher films and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
you know, we're kind of used to that stuff. But that would probably be the one that stands out to me the most because it was the one I was most skeptical of. But it's actually the one I kind of enjoy the most now, especially when we play it or listening to it.
I mean, my favorite's got to be Aluminium Bat. It's just the funnest for me to play. It's most interactive with the band. Everybody kind of sings on it. It goes back and forth. It's got some quirky breaks and some funky shit in it, like some swing type heavy shit. And I just like it. It's kind of all over the place. It's got a hardcore part to it. You know, it's just my favorite song to play. Now there's certain songs I can't play before that live because that song kills me singing. So we got to spread it out a little bit.
Gotta conserve that voice. Go ahead, Vinny.
I think my favorite's probably Broken Glass, honestly. Like it's a really difficult song on the drums. It's probably my fastest on the album. It's the only one with like prolonged blast beats and stuff on it. But
Yeah,
I helped write that song back in 2014 that we wrote that one?
yeah, 14, yeah,
Yeah, and that was one of the very first songs I ever played blast beats on in general. So
yeah.
that was kind of like how I started playing that genre and that style of music. So that one's kind of like near and dear to my heart, and it's still a challenge to this day to nail it. It really is.
But yeah, you always give me that look when it comes up. Like, oh boy, like take a deep breath and fucking settle into your seat a little bit.
So,
Yeah,
one that I'm going to pick out 2 of them, but the first one I want to mention is one of my favorites just because of a reaction I got to it when I pulled into work a couple of weeks ago. And it's the last song on the album. It's the shortest track. F and Die. I backed into my parking spot, and there was a person on this side of me and a person on this side of me. This car didn't have anybody in it. This one did. I believe it was some girl, some lady or whatever. Well, I pull up. I could kind of faintly hear something playing out of her car. It sounded like some pop something or whatever. And well, I had my windows kind of cracked down, and that song just goes right. It's short and it's punky, and it's heavy, high energy. And well, I just happened to look over right when I see her kind of look at me and like make this kind of like not like a stank face, but like a disgusting kind of face. Like, oh, like what is that? And
Yes.
I love that because people don't know how to respond when they hear something that isn't just
Mainstream.
so cookie cutter. It just sounds pretty or whatever, And so I pull up with that cranked up in my car, and it just she turns off her car and her music, and she goes inside. And I'm just like, oh, they're gonna love this.
You should see our shows, man. You should see how many people leave once we start playing.
Yeah,
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
It's their law. But that song, just because of that experience, and then I also really like Digging Your Grave and Nuclear Holocaust. Like I go and play those songs a lot. They're just ferocious.
Hell yeah. Nuclear Holocaust was kind of that was written also back in about 2015, 16.
Mhm.
And fuck, I'm just glad it finally, made it to recording.
Everything with time, man.
But the new record is the new record. I mean, if you want to talk about that, that's just going to be off the chain. Really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, where I was actually going to be getting into, new music and what's next for the band. I think Vinny got disconnected in the middle of this.
It looks like it.
Yeah.
It's all right. We'll welcome him back in if he pops back in. Yep. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit. Let's talk about bands that you've played with besides what you've already mentioned. Like some favorite shows that you've done throughout the years. Maybe the shows coming up, if you could talk about it. And I also want to dig into new music. I want to dig into, you could throw up, things about where to find your merch, and just, let's cover all of that. I did want to kind of go into like, digging your grave video and the toe tagged and body bag video, and cover those too, if you guys wouldn't mind briefly covering that, because I call it a performance video just because it's you guys and you're playing, and yeah, I want to talk about it, starting with digging your grave because of Mitch and how you said you're a good friend of his, Dave. So
yeah, me and Mitch go back 30 plus years, 35 years, I believe. I met Mitch when he just as he was exiting Las Vegas to go play with Napalm Death. So we had a long history, and I just hit him up one day. I'm like, hey, I want you to sing on the record. I got a perfect song for you. I want your screamy, screechy fucking vocals on there, and the dirtier the better. And he's like, hell yeah, it sounds like fun, let's do it. So he laid down, I sent him the lyrics, and he laid down his tracks in his studio there in Vegas, sent them back to us, and fucking they were perfect. So we went there, and then we recorded that video in Vegas before a show we played there.
Yeah.
And we were at a studio, and this great videographer, Paul McGuire, with what's the name of his fucking company? Obscenery Films.
Yeah, there you go.
Obscenery Films. So this guy goes all around the world and does videographies for like Korn and Marilyn Manson and shit. Yeah, he's a real top notch guy. So you can see it in the videos. His work is really impeccable. So he shot that video there in Vegas, and then came to the show that night. And Mitch actually joined us on stage. And then we went out back in the alley and did some just still shots, and I mean some live shots with just Mitch in the alley and stuff. Him singing the song, different angles and shit like that. It was a really cool night. The fucking metal god shined on us, right, Jay? That day, every fucking thing went right that day. Like from everybody being there at the studio on time, to the video shoot, to the show. We made money off the show. Fucking, it was a sold out show in a bitchin' venue. Just everything came together, and that was badass.
Well, hell yeah, dude. I mean, it looked like you guys had fun in the video too. Like, just like a hell of a time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got to Vegas. I think it was the day before the guys came out, and because I like to just go and relax first before I do anything. But also too, like Dave said, like the metal gods are like shining down on us, right? But I also like to play roulette. So I went out and I was out there all by myself, just playing roulette. I won $1,300, and I was like, I'm in the money, man. So the next morning I think we got there at 9:00, Dave. The other guys drove in. We did the video. I think it was like 4 hours later. We were supposed to be at the venue to together. We had a nice dinner, and then we had our gig. And I would have to say, well, if there was ever a time or a gig or an experience, that was probably my best experience at a gig, because we shot a video. It was my first time meeting Mitch, and every time we're out in Vegas, Mitch comes out and just kind of hangs out. Like he's there. And he's such a cool, down to earth guy and easy to talk to, But I think that first one kind of set the bar for me. I'm like, wow, this is great, because we had fun and we got a lot accomplished at that.
Yeah, and
gig.
Jay paid for everything because he won all that money and shit. He was like, "No, dinner's on me. No, margaritas are on me." Well,
if he's rolling with the dough, then he may as well treat everybody, right?
I think he spent all that money too. I think he spent it all on everybody that weekend. Yeah. That was cool.
Hell yeah, man. Like, I love that video. I love, it's hard for me to pick which video I like more because I love those videos where it's just the band playing, you know, because I just think that those videos look the best. You know, it's cool if a band wants to go and like make like this huge concept for a video, have like green screens with so like put their backgrounds up and stuff. There, you know, those are cool too and everything. But I've always been a lot more. I like just the kind of videos that you guys did a lot more.
Yeah, the performance videos are cool, man. They are cool.
Because it says that everything it needs to say with that kind of video.
Right.
Because it's about the music in the first place and the band playing the music. So that's
well, we were actually trying to. Well, I was focused on showcasing the band, the lineup on these videos. I want to introduce everybody that hadn't met my new lineup. You know, Jay, Joey, and Vin. I mean, you know, Vinny's been with me for a little while, but you know, nobody's really seen him on video or anything like that. And I was like, I mean, let's not do any lyric videos. Let's do some.
Sorry, guys. My
it's all good.
Shit phone died.
That's all good, man.
So yeah, I just fucking like the fact that sometimes I can't remember what I was saying.
I get there sometimes too, man. I've had moments in interviews that I've done where my train of thought just seems to want to get on a jet and leave my brain. And then I'm just kind of looking at my camera like, where was I going with that just now? And so I have to just quickly come up with something and just keep
I blame it on
going.
Vinny because he popped in there and I was like mid sentence, I think, and I was actually philosophizing with you. And can you remind me what I was saying?
It'll
Maybe it's not that fucking important.
With the band.
I believe you were talking about wanting to showcase the band, and then Vinny.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much. I wanted to showcase the band. I wanted everybody to actually see my guys. You know, and I wanted you know, no holds barred. Just us playing. You know, here we are. Fucking, here it was.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Well, just to start wrapping up, let's go ahead and start talking about what's planned currently and for the future of the band. Like, what could you guys say about all that?
Well, I mean, you know, we're locked in with a really good management company right now. We have a fucking excellent agent, Joel Spielman. Fucking Joel, hell yeah, dude. Doing an excellent job. I mean,
nothing guaranteed yet, but you could see us playing some pretty decent tours very soon.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's out there making a name for us, helping make it, because that's where we're at right now. We need a little bit of help with you know, these tours and this, that, and the other thing. We can't just do all this on our own, and we realize that. So, you know, we figured, hey, a fucking good manager that's going to push us and get our name out there and you know, get some hype and put us on some good tours and shows and shit like that. So,
there's also a very good chance that we are currently working on another record.
Yep.
That's what I want to hear.
No dates on the release of that yet, but it's definitely in the works.
Yeah, I constantly am in that state of wanting to consume something new. I'm constantly looking for it. Like, I am tireless of, like, especially since I launched this podcast, even more so now, I am always scouring YouTube, Spotify for a band to pull on this thing and talk to them about their music so people know who they are. You know?
Yeah, definitely. And that's awesome.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got some good shit coming up. I'll kind of finalize my part with we have a show next Friday night at the Viper Room in Hollywood on Sunset Boulevard. Make sure you come out to that. Doors open at 6:30. Just hit us up on Facebook on the Facebook page or my Psycho Day page for tickets. I'll send you the online link, or we can leave them at the door for you, whatever. And we got some shows coming up, little mini tours here and there. a little far out. I won't mention those, but we're just working, man. We're working in the studio, rehearsal studio, getting these new songs in our heads and working them out.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
You know how that
I'm
goes.
excited to
Chug
hear
along.
where you guys take it with this new stuff.
I
Heavier,
think this one's
bigger.
going to be even heavier than the last one.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
More
for sure.
screams, heavier guitars, faster, lots of double bass, that kind of good stuff.
yeah.
Faster solos.
All my favorite shit. Yeah.
Well, hell yeah, guys! This has been a hell of a good time. Yeah, like I knew it was gonna be fun. You know, it's I had a moment where I was a little bit scared. I would have to cancel again because our kid trying to, he was getting that cough back. I'm like, oh, come on, man. Because every time he does, the throwing up comes back and everything. So I'm like,
fuck, man.
I am not going to cancel this again. I'm not going to do it. It's not going to happen. I don't want to be known as the cancel guy, so.
Life happens, brother. No
yeah.
worries, man. It happens.
But, hell yeah, man. Like, thanks for coming on. I just want to make that very clear. I appreciate.
Yeah, it was a blast, man. It was a blast.
Thank you. And
yeah, have us back. Have us back if you fucking feel the need to dig a little deeper into our
anytime you guys want to come
shadiness.
back on, like if it's around the time of a song dropping or something like that, or just because, just reach out to me, man. I've got time. We can make it happen for sure.
All right, hey, send your viewers out to our YouTube page, our Spotify page, Trip to the Morgue. Just type it in, man. You'll get us.
Yeah.
We're the only Trip to the Morgue, so you will get us on all the socials and all that shit. Give us a follow, a like, a stream, a fuck you, something. Just let us know you're live. Let us know you kind of like us, or fucking, you know what I mean. But yeah, hit us up on all that shit. Deezer, I want to try to get our numbers up on Deezer right now. If you're on Deezer, hit us up. Amazon, all that shit. All right.
Yeah.
I'll get all those links up on the post for my YouTube, and then I'll put it in a repost on my Facebook page for as much as that as I could remember and track down, so people could get that, like your page.
Yeah, we'll send you the link tree, man. That's the best thing. You got everything on there.
But and you know what? Before we go, I just wanted to say thank you for giving us the opportunity and giving us the exposure and the time. I mean, that's huge for us. Like, we really appreciate that. I also want to say, thanks to Jeff at Viper Guitars, because honestly, Dave and Vinny, if you think about it, that's kind of where it happened at NAMM. Like, I got to say thanks to Jeff, because if I wasn't there, I don't know what would have happened, right?
And clear tone strings, in tune guitar picks, fucking what else we got? Axis drum pedals.
Yeah.
Not to mention, man, Viper created one of the sickest fucking looking guitars I have ever seen.
Oh,
James' guitar, man. Come see us live just to see his fucking guitar. That thing is a masterpiece. So sick.
Yeah.
Well, just come to Oregon and that'll happen.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, but thank you, man.
Down.
Yeah, that too. But
he said, come to Oregon.
I did. All right, guys.
All right. Fuck yeah.
Thank you. It's been a hell of a good time.
Peace.
Say hi to the guy that didn't make it. Joey, I believe, was his name.
Yep.
Give him my best.
Fireballs.
Have a great rest of your day. Have a big ass steak for dinner or something.
We do that all the time.
I'm actually currently barbecuing. Like, there's a shitload of people downstairs in my house right now. So I'm gonna go enjoy some tacos.
Hell yeah, you enjoy it. I'll be reaching out to you guys here pretty soon to give you the links to the repost and the YouTube, and we'll be in touch for sure for the round 2.
Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. Thanks, brother.
Take it easy, man.
All right.